when I say that there is, and when I quote somebody else who said this, that there is a price to silence, essentially it's saying kind of the same thing. So I think that this is something that we all struggle with, but I definitely know, spending the last 19 years of my life in full-time Christian ministry, that this is something that Christians struggle with really identifying things that are threats and then stepping to the plate and actually doing something about those threats. So I think we are willfully ignorant for probably a myriad of reasons, which means we choose to not know. But perhaps two are the most prominent reasons. I think we're willfully ignorant because you just practically cannot know everything, and you have to choose things not to know. So I think that's one, kind of frugal way that we choose to be ignorant. But then I wonder about the second thing. I think some of us are ignorant of things that are happening in the world because we know that if we stare the devil in the face, we will be responsible for knowing that information and then having to do something about it. So I really do wonder. I know we would never probably say that to ourselves, but we maybe subconsciously do know that we don't want to really dig into these issues, because if we really see them for what they are, then we finally have to step to the plate, and it demands a response. And I can't help but wonder if that's why so very often people like me, I'm going to have a confessional moment. People are like me. For the past 19 years of my life, I would have told you that I was pro-life because I became a Christian at 19 years old and then have served the Lord to the best of my ability in full-time ministry.
You checked the box.
Yes. I checked the box, but I was theoretically pro-life because all I would do was tell you that I was pro-life, but there was no practical way in which I was acting upon my pro-life stance, except going to church and hearing it once a year on a Sunday.
If you're lucky, you heard it that often.
So the point is when you wrote Vacant Lot, it really resonated with me. And Indie Thinker, I think, is the first time in my life where I've actually stepped to the plate and said, I'm going to address these issues head on, and I'm going to unflinchingly talk about this issue. So when you wrote those words, Vacant Lot, what does it mean to you, and why did you write them? And maybe it's not as powerful as it has been for me, but it really did kind of hit me like a ton of bricks.
Okay, I spent 33 years as a professor, and most of my my academic focus was on rhetorical criticism. And I will tell you, this is always fascinating to me, art always exceeds or transcends the intention of its maker. So what I was thinking about when I wrote the words vacant lot was next door to your church there's a vacant lot. I'm really glad that you unpacked that and all these other great things. But the fact of the matter is that the church frequently is way too reactive rather than active.
Yeah.
In other words, we spend our time reacting to what other people do rather than just moving forward ourselves with our own plans to make the world a more Christ-like place. We just wait for other people to do things and then we respond to it. And so in the example that I give in the book, I say, well, what if your church is next to a vacant lot and suddenly people begin to build on that lot? And the first example that I give is, what if the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints builds a church there and you share a parking lot almost with them? I mean, just a thin strip of grass separates the two of you. And they begin really filling up their parking lot, tons of people. They begin talking to the people at your church. And after a while, you notice that, because they're really nice people, their kids are nicely dressed and very friendly, real family-oriented. They begin talking to your congregants, and after a while, you notice some of your congregants heading over there. You notice some of your teenage girls hanging out with the good-looking elders, who are 19. And
but they're always sharply dressed.
They are sharply dressed, and every girl's crazy about a sharp-dressed man. So
wow.
They find their way over there, and I ask pastors, when I train pastors, and I say, well, what would you do? And the pastor suddenly, I would be getting up and I'd be talking about the deity of Jesus Christ and identifying the distinctions between Orthodox Christian doctrine and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Yeah. And I say, okay, let's change the scenario a little bit. Let's say you got a vacant lot, but instead of it being built on by an LDS church, let's say it's being built on, well, for the sake of political correctness, let's call it a Middle Eastern religious group. And they build the place up, and and the people there, they fill it up, and they start talking to your people and say, hey, your church says it's got the answer to life's most pressing questions, but they don't. We do. You having problems with your boyfriend? Come on over. You don't think you're going to get that scholarship? Come on over. Oh, you think your life is going to end because of the circumstances of your life? Don't worry. Come on over. But bring your kids. Got to bring your kids. Mm-hmm. Okay, what would you do? You start losing members. What would you do? I ask pastors. And they get up and they say, well, I would start getting up and I would be talking about the distinction between Islam and Christianity. And I'd go, wait. I didn't identify the other place as Islamic. I am, however, referring to an ancient Middle Eastern god, the Punic gods of the Middle East, Molech, for example. And it's amazing when their psychology, pastors' psychology begins to shift.
Yeah.
And they start to recognize that what is going on in this fictional place that I'm talking about is in actuality taking place in abortion clinics throughout the United States every single day.
You can catch brand new episodes of Indie Thinker with Reed Uberman every Monday and weekly bonus episodes to keep you thinking throughout the week. But you have to subscribe and click the bell to be notified when new episodes drop. If you enjoy this content, make sure to like this video and share it with friends.